So hello Nick, we are 1 week later from our latest podcast. It's a wet October day and we're both in the middle of some rather huge projects. How has your week been?
How long have we got, Sarah?
Not long.
My week been. Well, good morning, and Friday morning here. So definitely a wet and miserable Edinburgh, which kind of leads into how my week has been. So we're about to open, as maybe a few people might know, a 15-bed hotel project in the centre of Edinburgh. We're probably 2 weeks away from opening, but we've been 2 weeks away for about the last month. But I think we generally are maybe two weeks away this time. So we had the downstairs rooms ready to go. The upstairs rooms are pretty much there and dressed and ready to open. The downstairs all painted, looking lovely. Basement work still continuing. And then I went in 2 days ago to look at the front room and saw patches of damp on the walls of the freshly painted room. Now, we've owned this building for 2 years. No hint of damp anywhere in the building. Nothing.
And it has rained for Edinburgh, hasn't it?
It does. Edinburgh does get its fair share of rain. Yes, that is correct. Building's been bone dry literally for 2 years, and it ended up with 5 people outside looking at the gable end of the wall, like 5 people staring at a wall. So there was me, builder, the second in command of the building team, and Caroline, and our interior designer, Claire. How many is that?
Yeah.
Well, 5 people staring at this wall going, how is there damp? Because the bottom of the wall on the outside is dry, the top of the wall is dry, and there's this band going right through the middle that's wet. And we're all just staring at it going, how is this happening? Not many answers. So so that's been my week so far. So after I've recorded this, I'm heading up to site with my drone. And I'm going to fly the little drone up to the chimney and have a look, because we've kind of narrowed it down to possibly being water ingress into the chimney at the top, which then kind of comes down the middle of the building, hits the basement, hits the ground level, and then spreads along the wall. That's all we can think of. So we're going to go and check that out. So yeah, drone flying is now added.
Finally, one of your gadgets actually has a use.
Hooray! Yes.
Anyone that knows Nick well knows that he does love a gadget, and we're finally getting some good business use out of those, which is maybe a good thing.
Life-saving, my little drone. Yeah, I've got to learn how to fly it, so a couple of YouTube videos and I'll have a look and then work it out.
Excellent. Well, today on the PWS podcast, I think we both wanted to just chat about some of the things about how you get a project ready to launch, some of the things that you really enjoy about it, and some of the things that are really challenging. Obviously, we've heard about one of those today, but just to give a little insight into the mindset and world of a property investor just as you're about to launch something big. So, Nick, tell us let's go to the good side of things. What has been the most enjoyable thing about launching 11, your beautiful hotel, slightly damp hotel in Edinburgh?
Yeah, I'm going to have to dig really deep here, so I'll try and dredge out some fun things, because it's been a bit of a slog.
Like a therapy session, Nick. Let's go for that.
There have been some fun things. So a lot of the fun side of it comes around the kind of marketing angle and the collaboration with other local businesses. So because we're just rooms only, we're not doing food and beverage, so a lot of the fun things have been kind of going to all the little bars and restaurants and getting local business owners involved and negotiating deals with them for our guests, and also obviously getting to sample lunch menus and cocktails and wine menus and all this kind of thing. So I'd say that's probably for the hotel side of it been the fun element is doing that. And it means that we've managed to bring quite a lot of additional benefits to our guests when they arrive. So we've got welcome cocktails, a cool little bar around the corner. We've got breakfast, so we had to go and try out the breakfast at the West End Brasserie around the corner. It was very nice. So we've got breakfast for guests there, lunches, and then we look at other things like office for a day, for example. So you need to open a work seat up in Edinburgh, Sarah, and we can collaborate.
Nick. It is on the list. So for listeners, Worky is mine and Rick's new brand, which is a co-working space, which we are, I think, 4 weeks away from launch. But yes, I'll put it on the list.
Yeah. And for you, fun things for you, Sarah?
So I think, you know what, it's quite a similar story. So as I said, Worksy is a co-work space. We are launching the first one in Southport. Our second site is secured down in Hampshire. And because Southport is probably about 4 weeks from being ready to take guests, you know, workers, we have been doing quite a lot of marketing ourselves. And it's that business development, business relationship building. So we have been attending lots and lots of network meetings up in Southport. We've been, you know, peddling our wares left, right, and centre, and then you start to see the result of that. So this week we had 3 different people from the council approach us, ask us what we're up to and how they could support us. So that felt really good because they were like, we've been crying out for this in Southport. We're so thankful that you've put something together and, you know, we really want to support the business. And so that's been really nice because you kind of think, well, yeah, what I'm doing is in demand, not just, you know, by the people that are going to use it, but also the wider community and how it fits into the economic plan for that area. So the marketing, the business development and the building relationships has been fantastic. We've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, just reminded me actually. Yeah, and I saw you in the local paper in Southport, and we made this local paper in Edinburgh as well. So yeah.
Yes, we are mirroring each other, aren't we? I think at the moment.
But it's good, and I think, you know, a lot people have asked me, how did you get in the paper? And it was quite straightforward. Caroline's, you know, quite natural at this kind of thing, so she just put some feelers out in LinkedIn saying the project that's going on, and we probably had about 8 or 9 journalists contact us from that, and within a day we were in the paper, and then we were actually on the front page of the Edinburgh Evening News, I think 2 days ago. So.
Isn't it? Yeah, and obviously, you know, you're on the print edition of that, but that's also all online as well. And then, you know, you suddenly get Facebook groups for the community, starting to share your things, and it builds that momentum, doesn't it, of interest from the local community, which is I find it really, really rewarding.
Yeah, no, I do well, and it's all just part of the marketing plan. Is, you know, people have got to know that you're there. You know, particularly and probably more so for your project in Southport, because, you know, you'll be getting local people to work there. For us, it's more of a visitor angle, but the more that we're out there online and the people searching, you know, for Edinburgh and hotels, you know, the more PR there is out there for us, the more people will find us.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you know, it's all good fun doing that. I love that angle, that part of it.
So let's move to perhaps some of the challenging things. So obviously, having some water ingress and some beautifully decorated rooms is most definitely a challenge, and perhaps one that you couldn't have foreseen. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what are some of the challenges that we have when we launch projects that we do expect?
The biggest challenge we've had, I think, apart from planning, which was a long time ago now, planning was a challenge when it shouldn't have been. You know, anything relating to public sector interaction is always a challenge, I think, and you have to build in extra time, and a lot of extra time, I think, to deal with that. So our biggest challenge probably has been utilities.
Yeah.
So a lot of utilities, so particularly what I'm talking about here are electric. We needed to upgrade our supply to 3-phase supply and a new 3-phase meter. We needed to upgrade our water supply for 2 reasons. One, to get you know, to change the diameter of the pipe so we get more flow, and also we needed a second system for the fire suppression system, which we had to put in. So water, electricity, gas. Edinburgh didn't want us to have any gas in the building, so we haven't got any gas, or didn't need a new gas pipe. But then it was communications. So we wanted to put in a fixed direct line called a lease line into the building for our broadband. So we've got a super stable broadband connection. So you speak to all the front end operators, so you speak to, your service provider, but they don't actually do any of the infrastructure. All of the infrastructure is dealt with. Anything telecoms is BT Openreach. And like your electricity supplier, so our supplier is British Gas, but they don't actually do the infrastructure bit. That is, could be Scottish Power, it could be, there's 2 or 3 others, depending on where you are.
And I think that is definitely, when you're working on a big project which does need these infrastructures put in, it's something that whilst you can say, oh, I've allowed 8 months for this, it's one of those things where it can astound you how long it can take, and the communication appears that you would complain to your point of contact, they'll complain to their point of contact, and there's about 7 or 8 different points of contact who are all complaining to each other, and then you just wonder, well, where's the guy that's doing all the work?
So my biggest piece of advice for anyone starting a major project, the first thing you do, probably even before you get the keys, just start on the utilities, just get started, and don't outsource it to anybody else. We outsourced it originally to our PA. I think you just got to be on it yourself. I think that's biggest lesson is I will never outsource that job again. You have to just be on it.
I think another thing that when you're doing a big project like a hotel or like a co-working space where you have a wide audience at the end who can use your service, the other thing that it's not a challenge, it's just part of the process, is I often feel that there's this hard stop where all my work can't go beyond until the place is finished, it looks beautiful, and my photographs are done. And I do find that quite frustrating, because I'm like, I could be getting on with this and I could be getting on with that, and yet I can't, because it's like this bottleneck that is stopped by the photos.
Yeah, I mean, we got some CGIs done for the hotel, and we set up a website with CGIs on it, but it's not the same thing.
No.
You can't really open a market based on CGIs, but you can give people a flavour of what it's going to be. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We're at that point now where we need to we had some photos taken yesterday, so we've got some top floor stuff done, but we can't. We've got the main entrance we can't show. We can't show the outside of the building yet. So there's lots of things that we can't show. We've probably got enough to put a listing on, I think, now, but I'm hesitant because I want it finished. And as you're right, you can't actually market properly until you're finished, and then everything's got to come together. So I'm waiting on Wi-Fi so I can then commission all the smart locks, commission all the smart heating system. Can't do any of that until I've got my Wi-Fi connection in.
Yes, and it's like that point where that one thing opens the door to a gazillion other tasks, and you've already worked really hard and you just want to get the rest done, but you're kind of hampered. It can be a bit of a frustration.
I always feel if I ever get frustrated, I go back to my financial projections and have a little look, and that normally makes you feel a bit better.
Yes, indeed, and that's the thing, isn't it? We've got to hold on to something of why we're doing this to get us through some of the challenging times. So obviously we're talking about some big projects here, Nick. We've got a big, lovely hotel in the centre of Edinburgh, and I've got a 60 to 70 desk co-working space in Southport. These are quite big projects, but what about some of the how can this relate, I guess, to some of the smaller projects that some of our listeners might be doing?
Oh, I think the principles are all the same. Is you've got to look at what are the big jobs that need to be done first. So if you're doing a straightforward, well, I say straightforward, nothing's ever straightforward, is it? But if you're doing more of a kind of simpler flipped kind of model, a renovate a house and sell it on, you're still going to have similar kinds of challenges with you might still need to, if you don't need to go through planning, you definitely will need to go through building control, and they will have they're dealing with anything relating to the local councils with building control or anything with utilities is always a challenge. So it's just get those processes started early. Don't leave anything late. Anything that requires input from a third party, particularly a public sector third party, start early.
Yeah, I think it's worth getting a timeline sort of drafted out as to all the sort of different things that you're going to need along the way, just so that there isn't so much of a surprise for you if this is one of your first projects. Just really try and talk to your builder and talk to other landlords, and see the timeline of when they have worked through projects as to when you might talk to a letting agent or the estate agent to flip a property on, because it can feel overwhelming when you're doing it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And your builder, really should be on your team here, and be advising, because they should have seen and done most things when it's coming to the type of project that you're doing. So you are, when you're starting out, you are relying on your builder a little bit to keep you on track. But as I said, don't outsource any of the really important stuff. I think you have to be on that yourself. We were probably a bit guilty of our builder kind of loves to tell us what to do. And it's taken us a little while to really understand that he just needs to do what we want him to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of his advice has been really good, but there's some things that we've allowed him to say that he will deal with that he then hasn't, that we should have dealt with. As again, particularly around utilities and infrastructure and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's our biggest lesson, I think, is don't outsource everything.
So let's look forward to next week.
Project 11 for next week. Well, we really want to kind of ramp up the marketing. So we've now got some professional photos done, so we can now get the website looking better, replace some of the CGIs with professional photos, so I can build the listing for the OTAs, online travel agents. It's really ramping up the marketing, I think. Got TVs going up, so it's kind of moving into tech and commissioning everything, getting things ready to open for next couple of weeks, I think. And for you?
Yeah, we're not too dissimilar. So I have just done all the final edits for the website. Obviously we're still 4 weeks from build finish, so those photos are holding me up again, Nick. But I could put some stock images in and some of the CGI that we've had done, and hopefully get that through, because as our marketing's building, everyone's like, well, where's the website?
What's next for you after Worky?
So Worky Southport, as I say, will be opening December, January. So we're going to have to see how the Christmas period goes as to whether people are interested in looking at co-working space or just interested in having some office drinks. And then our Worky Hampshire will be ticking along nicely. So we've got some structural work happening there at the moment. So again, we've got the two sites, complete opposite ends of the country, going on at the same time, which is always good fun. We have had another offer accepted on a large project down in Hampshire as well. So I should just be going into a quiet room and telling myself it's all going to be okay, and I shall look at my financial projections, Nick. Keep myself on track.
That's always keeps me on track. Is go back to projections and have a little look. So I'm using a new dynamic pricing software. So I'm using Price Genie for this one.
Yeah, which we also use. And actually, as a bit of a spoiler, we do have the marketing manager of Room Price Genie on the podcast in the next few weeks. So look out for that one.
Excellent. So for those who are listening who are not sure what they do, so particularly for hotels and short stay accommodation, Room Price Genie operate a dynamic pricing piece of software, which means that they look at your local area and they will adjust your rates accordingly if there's busy periods coming up. So it's a piece of software that basically takes all the work out of having to be totally on top of your rates, and meaning that you don't miss out on events that happen before you know about it. So for example, in Edinburgh, we've got Taylor Swift coming next June, and it's fascinating when you look at Room Price Genie. So once you sign up for that, and you get a desktop to look at, a portal that shows all your pricing in Edinburgh, and there's this literally massive spike. Average room rate in Edinburgh at the moment is probably £200 a night across the board. For Taylor Swift, it's £1,000 a night.
Is it really? Wow.
So, you know, if you're operating a short stay accommodation unit or hotel, if you didn't know about that, as soon as that was announced, you know, tickets sold like that, and people were immediately looking for accommodation. Now, if you're out or on holiday or something, and that happens, and everyone books up your hotel at £150 a night, you've lost out massively.
Absolutely.
So this is why I love that software. It just takes away all that element of having to totally be on the case and looking at rates and what's going on. It does all of that for you. So it takes your base level and then it tracks the market. And if an event is announced, you know, the algorithm will pick that up and it will immediately push your rates up to what everyone else is pushing their rates up.
Fantastic. And have you got more projects in the pipeline?
We have, yes. So yeah, we had another offer accepted on another very similar building in Edinburgh, a different part of Edinburgh, a bit more of a trendy neighbourhood. In fact, it was a neighbourhood that came number 16th in the Time Out world's coolest neighbourhoods. So part of Edinburgh Leith. So yeah, we had a project, a building offer accepted on that a few weeks back now. So yeah, you know, that is going to be a very similar kind of thing, probably 16 studios, rooms. So we're going to finish this one and go straight into the next one. You know, we were going to have a little break, but you know, these things don't come up that often, do they? So when they come up, you've got to go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is it. And hopefully that shows you guys that even though we do have lots of challenges as property people, it's a bit like childbirth. You kind of forget them and you move on and go for the next one. And it keeps rolling. It's slightly addictive.
Yeah, because you learn, you know, all the lessons that you learn from the big project. You know, and this goes right back to when you do your first buy to let or your first flip, or your first HMO. And you learn so much from doing that project that it's so wasted if you then don't roll that out and do more. There's no point just doing one buy to let. You know, you want to do 5, 6, 7, 10. There's no point doing one HMO. You know, you've done all the hard work, so roll it out, do more. You know, refine and build. Same with hotels. So exactly the same thing. We've learned so much from this project in Edinburgh. Why would we not do another one? It's all, you know, not wasted. You know,
energy and the appetite for it.
Yeah. Because now we know exactly what we need to do. Loads of lessons learned with things, you know, like for the financing. You know, it's a massive thing for this kind of project is how your financing is going to work. So we learned loads from using different types of development finance in terms of what they want. So now we can be much more prepared. So when we go for that kind of, you know, that kind of finance, we know to day one, first thing we do, utilities. We're going to need to do the same thing on utilities. Yeah, it's just, you know, there will be other challenges for sure, but at least we know we won't have the same ones as we had on this one.
And I think one thing just that I want to finish on, Nick, is that when you are working on big projects in property, and it can sometimes feel overwhelming, and you know, you kind of need. What I love is that within the property wealth system, we have a little family of people who are all going through the same thing that we can all rely on and chat to, so that we, you know, it's a problem shared as a problem halved, isn't it? So I think that's one thing that I really value around, you know, the property wealth system network is just the support and network.
Absolutely, and the knowledge within it as well. You know, we know if we've come up against something, you know, whatever project we're doing, there'll be somebody within our network that's probably done it and dealt with it and can give a bit of advice. I mean, we had a conversation before we came on, Sarah, and you passed me a piece of advice about BT. You know, so it's massively valuable being part of a network. You know, if anyone listening here is, you know, out on your own, you don't have to be out on your own. There's whole networks there. Property wealth system, you know, it was worked great for us, Sarah. And you know, we're both mentors and trainers for Property Wealth System. If anyone wants to check us out, propertywealthsystem.co.uk, come and have a look and see what we do. But yeah, massive part of that is the network.
Absolutely. And we do have some network meetings happening. So if you're based around the Midlands area, There is a network meeting on, I think it's the first Monday in the Meridian area. There is network meetings on, I think, on a Thursday in the Croydon area. And then there's one launching around Sheffield, I think, soon as well.
Yeah, and we do have a bit of an informal one in Scotland, in Edinburgh, that's probably going to become a bit more formal over the following months. So yeah, there's plenty of networking opportunities for anyone out there.
Yeah, so if you want to check those out, I think they're on Eventbrite. Is that right, Nick?
They are, yes. Go and have a look on Eventbrite.
Fantastic. Well, go get your drone and be happy with your little gadget.
Yes.
I do love a bit of that. So I'm wishing you a great drone session, and let's get that ingress of water sorted immediately. And next week it will be a whole new set of fun and challenges.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Nick.